Hello, welcome. It is Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and this is Pure Live. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. Oh my gosh, we have quite a show for you tonight. It is different than anything I've ever done. Um, you're going to learn some things tonight. Um, and for those of you that have seen my show in the past, you know that we start off with the sponsors. So here we go. Yes. And for those of you that have been following me for a while, you know that they used to be called Boss. Now they are called Dreamers. Wonderful organization. You definitely want to be a part of them, especially if you struggle with networking, you struggle with knowing how to put things together to get your stuff going. This is definitely a great organization to join. Um, Also, if you were here last week, you know that I had a guest on named Sheila, and she was talking about motives cosmetics, and I'm selling their products as well, so they are another sponsor of the show. So here we go. Yes. And I'm actually currently wearing their products right now. So if you guys want to get your special discounts, you can go on my website, asiajamal.com or .net. I own them both. And you will see it at the top. It'll say Modas Cosmetics. And you'll be able to get my special prices for you. It will be discounted. All right. And for those of you that haven't gotten it yet, Elijah Jamal came out with his new album this year, just a couple months ago. And I'm going to play that a little later on in the show, the preview for it, not the whole album. so, also, I want to bring your attention to Abella Eyewear. We got the blue blockers, we got the different shades, we got the unisex shades. So we got something for everybody, you guys. So if you go to my website, hjamal.com, you go to the top, just like I said, for motives, and you can click on it and get 30% off. You're welcome. Now, the moment that we have been waiting for, you guys, we are going to get into this show. So I'm going to introduce my guests. And then we're going to educate you a little bit before we get into the conversation. So my guest today, her name is Fadila. I hope I said your name correctly. Oh, we can't hear you. Oh no. Um, we're gonna help her get her sound together. We're not hearing you right now, but okay. So we're gonna let her go ahead and get her sound together. I'm gonna play this video for you guys. It is from Watch Mojo. Something briefly to help you understand what we're actually digging into today. It's something different than we've ever dealt with before. So here we go.
This war included the longest siege in modern times. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be learning more about the Bosnian War. Possession of Bosnia-Herzegovina traded back and forth for centuries. In 1908, the country was annexed by Austria-Hungary. In 1918, following the dissolution of Austria-Hungary, Bosnia joined 5 other socialist territories to form Yugoslavia. This remained the status quo until the early 1990s. At that point, Slovenia, Croatia, and Macedonia each successively voted to leave Yugoslavia, and this led to war in many of those regions. At that point in Bosnia, 3 main ethnic groups formed the population. Almost half were Slavic Muslim Bosniaks, while Orthodox Christian Serbs comprised just over 30%, and Catholic Croats were 17% of the populace. Serb nationalists within Bosnia were strongly against the idea of their country's independence. At the end of February 1992, when Bosnia voted in a referendum on the subject, Serbs boycotted the vote in favor of creating their own republic called the Serbian Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina. However, those who did vote chose to secede from Yugoslavia, and so the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina was declared at the beginning of March 1992. Within a month, the newly created country was attacked by Serbian forces, with support from Slobodan Milosevic's Serbian government and the Yugoslav People's Army. Aside from the desire to claim new territory for Greater Serbia, the Serbs wanted to ethnically cleanse the population of Muslims. Initially, Croats and Bosniaks teamed up in the face of this Serb threat. The infamous siege of Sarajevo began early in the war, in April 1992, when Serb forces took the predominantly Muslim capital city. This 4-year siege resulted in the deaths or disappearances of roughly 10,000 people from the city, including many children. As residents scrambled for basic human needs, they were also required to evade sniper fire while in the streets. 1992 also marked the start of the genocide against the non-Serbian populations of Bosnia. Those groups were intimidated, tortured, and killed, with villages and homes destroyed. Targeted groups became refugees or were held in detention camps. By the end of the year, the Serbs occupied roughly 70% of the country. Croat forces had also shifted from a defensive stance and began seizing land also. This began a war within a war, referred to as the Croat-Bosniak War. That battle overshadowed much of 1993. That year, the UN sent aid to Bosnia, but was criticized for being largely ineffectual in the face of this conflict. By 1994, NATO intervened by launching airstrikes against the Serbs. While this succeeded in ending some sieges, fighting continued. When the Croat-Bosniak War ended that year, those groups reteamed to fight the Serbs together. As conflict continued into 1995, one of the most violent crimes on European soil since the Second World War took place. In July, the town of Srebrenica was massacred by the Bosnian Serb army, despite being a UN safe zone. Over 8,000 were killed, and more were wounded and displaced. However, this was one of many similar massacres that year. NATO forces again used airstrikes against the Serbs, which helped Bosnian government forces reclaim lost territory. The end of hostilities came soon after. In November 1995, the Dayton Peace Agreement was reached in Dayton, Ohio by the Serbian, Croatian, and Bosnian presidents. When this agreement went into force, it marked the war's official end. As stated in the accord, Bosnia-Herzegovina was split into 2 independent states, one Bosniak and Croat, the other Serb. National elections were also called, and a NATO-led peacekeeping effort began. However, much of the population was unhappy with the country's division. Though exact numbers are disputed, the Bosnian War resulted in 25 to 330,000 deaths. It caused the destruction of numerous historic buildings and monuments and created hundreds of thousands of refugees. Atrocities seen during the war included genocide, mass rape, and emotional subjugation. And in the years following the conflict, numerous figures were tried for war crimes. Though Bosnia's rebuilding period continues, the effects of this war will undoubtedly echo for years.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a whole lot. So hope you guys understood everything that was said there. Are we good with the sound now, Fadila? No? Okay. Okay. So while we get her going, that what we're going to be dealing with today, the reason that I played that is because our special guest for today is a survivor of this war. Um, she's a refugee from Bosnia, and the whole story. First of all, it starts when she was much younger. She was a young lady, a little girl, and it was very dramatic and a tearjerker and just flat out traumatizing. So, what I want you guys to do is to get into this conversation. I want you to ask questions. I want you guys to, whatever it is that you want to know about this, please feel free to jump in this conversation because this is deep. This is the first time that I've ever live had a conversation with a survivor in the first place. So while we are getting ready for her to come back and talk about this situation, we're going to briefly play that trailer that I was talking about for Elijah Jamal, and then we'll get into this conversation.
Stay here, not just tonight. Don't say goodbye, don't run away, fear. Control her mind, keep it inside. Walls up, is safe here. A master disguise, truth in the line. Looks at the blank mirrors. Would rather hide than face the side that shows when the sunrise comes. Don't wanna see what I've become. Who's gonna love me this broken? Wait till the night falls, that's when I'll be gone. Don't let the sun come out. Shaky, conditional, that's all she knows.
Yes, that's a hot album. So if you guys haven't gotten it yet, go on and get your copies. He also has a new Christmas song out. I don't have that preview for you yet, but hopefully he'll get it for me and I can share it with you all. He's been a guest on the show before. Fadila looks like she's still having some technical issues. Can you hear us, Fadila? Or
Yes, can you hear me?
okay, yes, we can hear you. So we don't have video, but we have audio,
Oh, we
which
can
is
see me.
good.
There we go.
There we go. Yay. We have audio and video. Woo-hoo. Okay.
Yes, we got it both.
Excellent. So
Huge
first of
mistake.
all, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. I totally appreciate you sharing your story with us today.
I I did miss that part. Sorry about that.
Oh, I just said thank you for joining us and sharing your story with us today.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. It's an honor. So I do appreciate you inviting me on the show. So yes, it's
So first, I would like you
a lot.
to just introduce yourself, and then we'll dig further into the topic.
Thank you. Yeah. My name is Fadila Begzadic, and I hope many of my friends are watching me right now, and I do want to thank everybody that's joining in. Um, I am from Bosnia. I came to the United States 20 years ago. I was 21 years old when I came and didn't know any English. You're just brought in from a war-torn country into a new beginning. So, and Um, I'm an American citizen. I'm a mom of two beautiful kids. They're my life. And I I'm here. So
Hello, Dr. Margaret.
hi, Margaret.
Um, so tell me about growing up. When you were younger and you growing up in a different environment, a lot of us don't know anything about Bosnia. How was that situation before, the whole war broke out?
So, right, thank you. A lot of people, when you tell them, you're from another country, we tend to create our own bias about others because we don't know what it's like, and things that we don't know, we put a kind of like a block or something like, hey, we don't know. This must be something, we just create our own story about people. So, um, I'm a middle child. Prior to war, my parents had me and my two brothers. I was a middle child. Uh,
Me too.
um, see, lucky I was a girl, so it's just like I don't know. I was a little bit spoiled. I grew up in I grew up until I was 10 and a half years old, 11. I lived with, my mom and dad. We had a beautiful, beautiful 3-story house. My dad was like the only son to my grandpa who was really well off. And my dad's best friend was actually a Serbian. His name was Božo, and they did so many things together. So I'm coming from a Muslim side of the family, and we are like so incorporated. Like as a child, I did not know of hate, of um, anything different. I knew that like we're gonna go celebrate Bayram, which is Muslim holiday, but then we're gonna go celebrate Christmas. We're gonna At that time, we celebrated Christmas on January 7th because that's Orthodox Christians. I also have uh, a family and friends on the Catholic side as well. So my dad was a firm believer that war was never going to happen because in reality, we're all brothers and sisters. There's no difference what what church we go to, what God we pray to. And the one thing I hope that my message tells people is don't um, don't listen to the hate. Like do your own research and be kind because I've seen many bad things in war and I've seen kind things that you would never expect. So
Hmm.
um, So yeah, at 11 years old, 1992, we just woke up one morning with army in our driveway and my parents trying to grab us out of our beds and run with us like for the
Oh my
hill.
goodness.
Um, Screams, gunshots, you name it.
This is what you woke up to.
This is exactly.
Wow, that is insane. What were you thinking or feeling at the time?
Uh, I am working on a book. Hopefully, I will get it published soon. Um, it's a big process. So, like as a child, like I when I think about it, is I think that I use my imagination to like protect myself because I thought it was just a
Mm,
game that we're all gonna just go somewhere and then come back home, to our house.
mm. And when did it hit home that that's not what was going to happen?
So it. We actually, so we went from our home to another village where we stayed at this couple house, and then the Serbs army came to their village, and they actually attacked their village and just killed whoever they could. So we ran, and we came to this forest where my dad and this other families that had built like a bunker where we had to go in because there was grenades falling around, there was like bullets, you name it. So the third night when we slept in the bunker, like lined up like sardines, you have nowhere to move, is when I realized and asked, when will I ever see my home again?
Oh Lord. My goodness. So at that point, it was all of your family just smushed in with other people trying to be safe.
Correct. Yes. And
Ugh.
we and that was just, the beginning of it. That was just compared to things and events that happen down the road. I wish I could say that, that's the biggest thing I've survived in Bosnia.
How did you guys at that point in the beginning, were you concerned about how you were going to eat, or how you were going to survive the next day? Where were you getting your resources?
So at that time there was no phones or cell phones, obviously. um, we were the food, while we were in the bunker, we didn't eat anything for those 3 days. um, uh, early morning when it was kind of quiet, my dad woke us all up and we started heading towards another village. This is kind of like more like a mountainy part of Bosnia. And we walked for probably half a day. And then we came up to this village where my parents told me that these people that took us in were our cousins, like our
Oh,
long cousins, that they're gonna take us in. And the one thing I remember is my dad, he was a big man, so a huge heart. So, and I think his words have led me through the life, because he said, in so we are in this house and we were finally able to get shower and eat warm food, and the my dad has come into our room and he set us all down and he said, listen, we don't know when we're going to go home. However, I want you to be honest and kind, and I want you to never ever take anything from anybody's house without asking them for it. Never disrespect somebody's home, because we this is not our home. And that stayed with me throughout my life. Like anytime when I was like in a tough situation, I would think, what would my dad think? What would he say? He was 32 years old when he was killed.
mm, wow, it's younger than me.
So yeah, it's when I think of Bosnia, the biggest thing is that the message I would like to give to people is the fact that This country is so great, it's so strong, and it has so much potential. And I I hope that nobody ever has to live a life that I did.
Yeah. There's a question. Did your family have to prepare to fight in that war?
No, nobody was even thinking about the war because everybody thought that we were just gonna come back home, and that was, as a child, I didn't know so much about politics at that time. But no, nobody was prepared to fight in a war.
Okay. Um, I do want to get further into this story. I want to take a small break, um, and then we'll get deeper into it and talk about how you survived and get to where you are today.
Mhm.
Um, so right now we're going to take a small break. For those of you that are watching via YouTube, this is what I want you to do. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Appreciate it. And we're going to take this brief break. Hi, I'm Asia Jamal Rogers, and I'm a singer, songwriter, choreographer, voice actor, and I'm the creator and talk show host of PURELive. PURE is an acronym for perfectly undefined raw elegance. So naturally, we want our content to be pure, raw, and elegant. It airs live every Friday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook. And if you'd like to see all of the episodes, you can reach it at asiajamal.com, ASIAJAMAL.com. Or if you'd like to be on the show, you can reach me at asia@asiajamal.com. Hope to see you soon. All right. Okay, so quickly we're going to play a little game. Just break to lighten a little bit, and then we'll get back into the story. Um, so we are going to play the game Find the Fake. And for those of you that have not had the privilege of listening or watching the show, the way that this goes is there have been 3 true statements given to us and 1 false statement. Your job is to guess the correct false statement. And if you get it correct, you may win a prize. So here we go. All right. So you guys have the rest of the show to figure this out. Which one you think is the fake? I gotta say, she chose some good ones. Any of those could be the fake. You did a really good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Felix says D. We'll revisit and we'll see if you're right, Felix. So now we're gonna get back into things. There's another question for you. Um, oh, I got click happy. The question is, how do you forgive others after experiencing that trauma?
Um, the way I handle this is, um, at first you're like, you go through like a phase and you lose hope. You don't think that God is there, that God would want to put anybody on a path to hurt you or your family. Um, and the way I learned to handle with the trauma and forgive is that not everybody's the same. I still, there's this light in me that I choose to, that makes me feel good when I do good and when I want to help people. Like I have no words for it. Like I learned through that experience that I judge people by their actions.
Mm.
Thank you, Kristen. I love you. I missed our Thanksgiving.
Um, so dealing with the trauma. So I know that we have barely even touched the surface. So can we dig a little deeper into that after um, the situation that you guys got crammed into this space? You're staying with somebody else. After that experience happened, what happened next?
So after that, the Serbs army was just taking one village after another over and, killing anybody in their path. Um, we just kept going. So we kept going from one village to another. We ended up like staying in one village for one winter, and I remember during those times we it was really cold, and I remember people would go out and like if the cow was shot or like actual like a food, they would bring that home and clean it and cut it to be able to feed others. We just kept going and until we came to this town Srebrenica, which is is another story on its own. So
Hmm. It's something horrible happened there.
oh yeah, so we came to Srebrenica, and my dad was trying to find any way to take care of us. So we ended up staying in this one house, and my dad actually like a year later he was killed because he was trying to go like help us get food.
Oh man.
After that, like I feel like after losing my dad, I have like lost like the protection that you had in your life, like
Mm. Yeah.
that somebody that's always there to set you straight. So
Right.
um we stayed in that town for 2.5 years, I believe. We did not have running water, we didn't have electricity. um the city became United Nations protected zone. However, it still had attacks. Like I've witnessed when, so we were trying to go to school at the city, and we had like a UNICEF notebooks and had to write everything down. Um, I remember one summer, I actually did not go to school that day. Um, the Serbs army actually threw like a grenades or some kind of artillery that was like far enough to reach, where they actually threw it right at my school, and many people died,
Goodness.
many kids. Like the scene at the playground were like was like horrific, like horrific. Like you could see like it had like a long fences because of like I think tennis or some tennis court. You could see like a skin and body parts on there from people that were killed.
Oh my gosh. So a bunch of children were killed as well?
Oh yeah, kids were killed. Uh we went it's not detailed, but we went days without food. My mom is my a biggest hero. She one time I remember we had no food for 7 days. She had to go to one village to find us food, and we didn't see her for like until next day. At this time I was, I believe, 13. My youngest brother was 5. My oldest brother was 15. We thought that, you know, she died too, because she didn't come back till next day. She came back with
Mm.
this little bag of flour and bruises on her knees and her arms, because it was like she had to cross the enemy line to get to another village to ask for people for food.
My goodness.
So, and I don't know like how people lived at that time. I think as a kid, I love kids, and I think we have to teach our kids good things. Don't poison them with hate, because at the time when I remember like my childhood, yes, I didn't have my childhood, but I think as long as you have your family and people that love you and take care of you, you don't need anything else. You can have everything else you can imagine. um when we went like the life in Srebrenica, it was horrific. Like we went through a phase where people had lice, people had these scabs on their skins. We had to use like a laundry detergent to wash our hairs because we had nothing else. Um, we and that was like rare if you even found that. Um, we burned like oil in order to see a night, like if you had some
Hmm.
oil that you found from before, like
Like
oil
to make oil lamps?
to make oil lamps. Yet
Mm. Okay.
uh then a lot of people died when United Nations decided to deliver food via airplanes and throw the food like in a pallets.
Mm.
At that time, a lot of people died because they were not careful, and people would like fight for it. And I remember like one time when I like first time I ever got, it's like a military grade a bag that you get that has food in it, like M something. It's called M.
Okay.
And you like I remember first time ever, like I was like, oh my God, this tastes so good. Like I haven't had this in
Mm.
years. So um and that was rare too. So I think in summertime, even though there was a lot of people in the city, people like try to like grow food and stuff like potatoes, so
Mm.
that way we they don't they have food to eat for
Right.
different times. um and it's my my fondest memory of Srebrenica before everything else happened is I had this one friend, and um, w- when I didn't go to school, I really loved books. So I used to
Mm.
read like European writers' books because I didn't know anything about English or America. Um, we used to hide in this abandoned library and find books and read them and daydream about escaping the war and what it would
Mm.
be like if we are like in another country, somewhere safe
Yeah.
where we can get hurt.
Wow. That's a whole lot to swallow.
Yeah,
To be in a situation, the life that we live here in the States, we're not thinking about those things. We're not having to dream of one day being free from living in a war zone. So yeah.
right. Yeah, and it's I feel like I am forever grateful to be here. And the one thing about that I love about America is that, you know, you have a right, like, to fight, right to make things right, like right to help people, like, which to me is it's like huge thing because when we see refugees from another countries, like whether they're from Bosnia or Somalia or I don't even know where,
Mm.
there's this biased opinion. They're like, oh, they're here for, they just came here and they live off of government. So I
Right.
want to educate people about refugee. What happens when you come to America as a refugee? Um,
Okay.
um,
Yeah, I see a question, but I want you to go ahead and finish your thought before we get to that question.
so when we were, I have to go back to like Srebrenica again because Srebrenica is like a big wound for me.
Okay.
But after the Srebrenica, we couldn't go back to our house because we had no house because Serbs took it. We we applied to come to any country because we have nowhere else to go. We lived in this camp where they just gave us like a soup kitchen where you had to go get food, which I'm grateful for food. But we had nowhere to go, so we had no home, and we had to wait 1 year. So the process to come to another country. So when we went to apply to an embassy, um, they asked us if we want to apply for Canada, United States, or Australia. There's a lot of Bosnian people that went to Australia, and we chose America because America is the greatest. So we we had to go through like a vetting process of 1 year. So we had to go through interviews. We had to go through all kinds of medical tests to make sure we don't bring anything bad to America. And then finally, after a year, you get to have, like, we had so many interviews, and then we have a main interview where the officer decides whether or not you can actually go and live in United States based on everything that they've asked you to do before. And then you come, like, then you get airplane tickets, and they locate you to a refugee center that's I think less occupied. So for us, they told us we're going to Twin Falls, Idaho. Um, Twin Falls, Idaho is kind of like another home to me because I think it's where I learned English, where I met my friends, and most of them are like family to me. um, Kristen included and her mom. Um, and so when you come to America as a refugee, you have for 3 months. So you get a visa, you get a papers that you can be a legal resident, and then for 3 months they take you to classes to learn English, and then after 3 months you have to go find a job. They help you find a job, of course. And once you have a job, the first thing you have to do is pay back the airplane ticket that brought you there. And you no longer have assistance from health and welfare like a refugee and medical, because everything you're being migrated into actual civilization to help the community. So
Okay.
I hope that people are kind at least to others when they hear my story, because don't base anything off your bias, like off of others' opinions.
Right. And this wasn't a free ride for you. I want
Definitely
them to
not.
understand that it wasn't. Yeah.
No,
Um, so let me ask, did all of your family other than your father, did you all make it to out of Bosnia?
no. Um, my grandpa during my grandpa ended up getting a diabetes in a war, and he lived with us, and we there was such a little care that his toes fell off from like because his foot was so infected, um and he couldn't walk. And on one of the Serbs attacks, they when they attacked the village where we were in, we were not able to take him with us. Like he
Okay.
told us to run because he couldn't walk.
Mm.
And the Serbs took him and kept him captive um, until like I think 95, and then they transferred him to a Bosnian side, and he died in a hospital. We've never seen him since we left that one village. And in 1995, July, which is the very hard time for me. I'm getting better at it because I have such a strong support of friends, family, and my kids. That July 1995, Serbs. At that time, I had my mom and my two brothers.
Mm.
Um, Serbs have taken over the United Nations protected city. So they just came in with the guns. I believe Norwegian troops were in town at that time, and they just handed them over their guns. There was a panic and chaos. They just came in just like they did at the beginning of the war and started shooting and killing. Many men have like gone to cross across like forest to come to another part of Bosnia where it's safe.
Mhm.
Many of them, of course, were killed and captured. We ended up in so when this happened, this is like a big town full of people. You There's panic, and people, where the people gonna go? They're gonna go to the base where United Nations are because they are supposed to protect you.
Mm.
So we went to the base. The Serbs army came in. They put us in factory halls. They came in with cameras first, saying how nobody's gonna get hurt. And then as soon as camera went away, they put us in these halls where like it's just the ground. There's nothing down there. And we stayed there for 3 days. So in those 3 days, they've killed over 8,000 people, boys and men. I've seen things that told some of my friends that I still have hard time talking about, because it's like the horror that you cannot even imagine. The murdering, the massacre, the rape, the name it. Like in those 3 days, that's what they did. And at that time, my brother Alan was 16 years old, and he
It's okay. Take your time.
the last words I heard from him say to my mom were, "Mom, please don't say anything, because I don't want him to kill me in front of you."
Mm. Yeah. And how old were you at that time?
I was 14.
My goodness.
And they just took him away from us. And when we came to the other side, we were like trying to find him, but he wasn't there.
Mm. It's okay. Okay. Mm. How'd you guys find out?
So when we came to Idaho, I think it was 2002.
Mm.
I was contacted by Red Cross. They asked if there's a relative that could give like a DNA sample, because they excavated like one of the mass graves where they killed many people, like execution style.
Oh.
And my aunt, who lives in Bosnia, she was able to go in. They the only thing they sent us was this picture of his clothes.
Oh my goodness. So it sounds like a horrible experience.
I have actually never done this, so it's
You're doing great. You are so brave for this. We definitely appreciate you sharing your story.
thank you.
Knowing that you experienced all of this loss, at any point did you feel what people call survivor's guilt? Did you feel bad that you made it out and they didn't?
Yes, many times. I think that my whole life is like healing process. My friends that know me, they know I like to joke. I'm never serious like this. But when I had my dark moments, like the sad moments, which I'm afraid to go into because of all the trauma. I I asked so many times, why my brother? Why, you know, I could have like died for him instead of him. So um he nobody deserves to die, like especially children. So yeah, that I did have that. I do have my kids to share them a story, and I know that my dad, my grandpa, my brother, they they would be so proud of me.
Yeah.
um I don't know.
So, going to this question, have you been able to actually talk to your children about your experiences and what you went through?
um I have my kids are very kind, and they like very quiet. We talked some, but I think that many many things they just know, just by my demeanor, and like they're always cautious about me, like, mom, do you, because they know I'm like, I always joke and try to like make life fun, because
Mhm.
I don't want him to miss out on things that I missed out on. And I want him to be good people. I want him to be somebody one day, and spread this, like share this, and help others. Because I my coming from Bosnia and surviving all of that is my dream job would be to work for like um I don't know, somewhere where I can help others, because
Mm.
for such a long time I was a child went behind a Red Cross, and where they were handing out food. I was that child that just stood there like helpless. I wanna change a role. I wanna go help others. Like I think
Mm.
that's my drive.
That's amazing. That just shows how big your heart is and what a beautiful person you are. Because to go through all of that, and your heart and your mind says, I just want to help somebody, I just want to love on somebody, and to raise your children to be the same way, that's just simply amazing.
Thank you.
You know, I say God was showing off when He created you. It's just amazing.
Thank
There's
you.
so many people that go through horrible things, and it ends up making them ugly inside. They end up bitter and hateful. So the fact that you are pushing and emphasizing that we shouldn't be hateful, that we need to love each other, that is like the most important message. This world would be so different if we all thought like you.
Thank you. I hope so, because I feel like we would we would be so much happier, and there would be no trauma in the world if we just show a care to one another, kindness. Because I want my kids to wake up one day and be like, wow, this is the life I want to have kids in. This is the world I want to have my own kids in, and not worry, about any of the things that I went through or some other people went through. And just my experience is my own unique, is like, I'm not saying like every Bosnian had the same experience. I'm sure others have their stories too. But I hope that nobody has to tell this story like this ever again.
Me too. Me too. We are towards the end of the show. We're at the end of the show. So, as promised, I'm going to replay the game and we will see who won. Fadila will let us know. Here we go. All right. So, which one is the fake?
In all my life journey, I never learned how to swim. That's true, though. So we need to find a fake one.
Yeah. So, which one is the fake, ma'am?
Um, I don't have a cat.
You don't have a cat. So, let's see. Who was that had that right? I believe that was Kristen.
Yes.
Congratulations. So you can feel free to communicate with me. You can contact me at asia@asiajamal.com if you would like your prize. I tried to
You did
kill you
try
with
killing it
cinnamon.
for me.
Oh, jeez. Oh my, I've never heard that one before ever in life.
It was like the fireball, I believe. So she didn't know.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, so this is the end of the show, but definitely not the end of your story. I look forward to you finishing your book. Whenever you do, let me know, and we will promote it right here on the show.
Thank you
We'll help push
so
it
much
out.
for having me. Love you, Kristen. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Um, I appreciate you guys giving me opportunity to tell my story.
Absolutely. And I like to give my guests an opportunity to leave the audience with, their final words, their final message. So what's your final message for our viewers today?
Be kind and be grateful and help others. Um, because there's always somebody that's in a worse situation than you are. My I always tell myself when I'm faced with a difficult situation that I got this. It can be worse than Bosnia. I hope you don't have to use anything like that, but just remember that no situation is as hard as you think you can. It is for you. So kindness and gratitude are like the only thing you need in life.
All right. Powerful words. Uh, she said, when did you ride in a helicopter?
I actually did that in Idaho. One of my friends, Dorothy, her husband uh, was a pilot for fires in California. So one summer they didn't have as many fires, surprisingly.
Oh,
And they were offering rides for people to go fly above the canyon, and I am afraid of heights, but I actually did it. So, and it was the one of the helicopters that doesn't have it's like see-through on the bottom, like it's crazy.
oh,
So I get to see the falls, Shoshone Falls in Idaho, and it was like amazing, and it was their gift to me. So I'm
Nice.
grateful for them and the opportunity they gave me.
Wow, amazing. That is so
Right.
cool. Look at you conquering your fears.
Thank
All right. Well, that is the end of the show, you guys. We will be back here
you.
next week, Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Remember to embrace God's perfect design, which is you. Till next time, have a good evening. Oh, and Dr. Margaret says, you are an amazing woman. And I
Thank you,
agree.
Dr. Margaret. I
Thanks
miss you.
again. All right, you guys, have a good evening. See you
Thank
next
you.
week.